What if I told you the very cars the world praised for precision, power, and perfection were also the most dangerous machines ever unleashed on public roads? Germany has long been the gold standard of automotive engineering. BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, names that scream luxury and performance. But beneath that polished metal and cutting-edge tech lies a darker, untold truth. These cars weren't just fast, they were too fast. Engineered to dominate the Autobahn with no speed limits, then exported to countries where drivers weren't ready for that kind of power. The result? Thousands of high-speed crashes, lawsuits, bans, even fatalities. And yet, no one talks about it. Why did Germany push these machines so far? Was it pride? Competition? Or something deeper, something rooted in a post-war race to re-establish dominance through engineering? This isn't just a story about cars, it's about obsession, ego, and a silent global crisis hiding behind a badge of luxury. Stick around because what you're about to hear might make you question every German car commercial you've ever seen. It all started with an obsession not just to build cars, but to build machines of dominance. German engineering wasn't about comfort or affordability, it was about precision, performance, and power. And somewhere along the way, that obsession pushed boundaries most manufacturers wouldn't dare touch. Porsche, for example, gave the world the 911 Turbo in the 1970s, a beautiful rear-engine rocket. But it had a sinister nickname, the Widowmaker. Why? Because if you didn't know how to drive it perfectly, it would punish you. At high speeds, the rear weight distribution made it wildly unstable. One wrong move, and you were off the road. Then came BMW. The M5, in the late 80s and early 90s, looked like a regular sedan. Quiet, comfortable, until you pressed the gas and realized it was faster than most supercars of its time. But there were no traction controls, no electronic safety nets, just raw speed, and if you weren't ready for it, you were in trouble. And let's not forget Audi. In the 1980s, they introduced the Quattro system, dominating rally stages around the world. But the cars they sold to the public were dangerous in a different way. Their early turbocharged models had insane turbo lag, then sudden bursts of power. It was like driving with a time bomb under your foot. What made German cars especially dangerous wasn't just power, it was accessibility. These weren't limited production hypercars. These were sedans, coupes, even wagon cars your neighbor could own. But they were hiding serious performance that many average drivers weren't ready to handle. In 2006, Mercedes released the E55 AMG, a luxury sedan with a supercharged V8. It could hit 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds. But again, it came with minimal electronic intervention. A heavy foot on a rainy day meant you could easily spin out. Even the legendary Nürburgring, the ultimate proving ground, played a role. German manufacturers competed to post the fastest lap times, which led to cars being tuned not for daily use, but to dominate racetracks. This meant stiffer suspensions, aggressive steering, and unforgiving handling characteristics. You see, it wasn't just one brand. It was a culture, a mindset. German automakers weren't just making vehicles, they were designing weapons on wheels. The Volkswagen Golf R32 was another example. All-wheel drive, V6 power. It looked like a mild-mannered hatchback, but it was a torque-loaded beast. People underestimated it. And that's when things went wrong. Even safety regulators struggled. Many of these cars passed crash tests. They had airbags and ABS. But they weren't dangerous because of what happened in a crash. They were dangerous because of what happened before the crash, the speed, the aggression, the lack of forgiveness. And what made them even more lethal? Confidence. German engineering made drivers feel invincible. The cars were stable, refined, and beautifully built. You didn't feel like you were going 130 miles per hour until it was too late. There's also the psychological side. Owning a German performance car gave drivers a sense of superiority. This isn't just a car, they'd say. This is a machine. And that mindset often led to reckless behavior. Combine that with immense horsepower and limited driver aids, and you have a recipe for disaster. Over the years, insurance companies started to notice. Premiums for young drivers owning BMW M3S or Audi S4S skyrocketed. Why? Because too many were getting into accidents. Not because the cars were defective, but because they were too capable for the average driver. And then of course there's the Autobahn, the only place in the world where speed limits simply don't exist on certain sections. German cars were built to dominate that landscape. But once exported, They entered environments with stricter limits, more traffic, and less tolerant roads. The cars hadn't changed, but the danger increased. Another layer: tuners. Germany has one of the most active tuning scenes in the world. Cars that were already powerful were being pushed even further, chip-tuned, turbo-boosted, stripped of safety features. The culture celebrated it. The world watched in awe. But the risks? They multiplied. But here's the wildest part. People loved it. The danger became part of the allure. Car enthusiasts knew the risks, and they wanted more. They weren't just buying German cars for the badge, they were chasing adrenaline. To this day, brands like BMW M, Audi RS, and AMG still carry that DNA. New models are safer, sure, with lane assist, drift modes, and auto braking. But that original spirit? It's still there, under the surface, waiting for the right driver or the wrong one. And that's what makes German cars uniquely thrilling and uniquely dangerous. So, after everything we've explored, where do you stand? Are German cars the pinnacle of performance, built for thrill seekers who know what they're doing, or are they over-engineered beasts that never belonged on public roads in the first place? No matter how you see it, one thing's undeniable. German automakers didn't just build cars, they built statements. Machines that dared you to push harder, drive faster, and take bigger risks. For some, that was liberation. For others, it was a one-way ticket to disaster. If you've made it this far, you're not just a viewer, you're part of a growing community of people who crave the truth behind the power, the real stories behind the cars we admire and fear. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because the next story we tell might just change the way you see your favorite car forever. And if this video had you thinking, drop a comment. Which German car do you think was the most dangerous of them all? We read every one. This channel exists because of curious minds like yours. Let's keep uncovering the wildest, craziest, and most controversial moments in automotive history together. See you in the next one.